according to stats and an op-ed in the Washington Post from renowned journalist Sam Quinones. He writes, the contrary to conventional wisdom, it's not the demand for drugs like fentanyl that drives supply. He says it's the opposite, that the huge supply is actually driving demand. And he says disrupting the supply is what has caused the overdose deaths from fentanyl to plummet. You can see the drop here. The CDC expecting a 35% drop in deaths from its peak in 2023. Sam spent more than 2 decades reporting on gangs and drug trafficking between the U.S. and Mexico. He's also written 2 books on the opioid epidemic, in addition to his newsletter on Substack. Sam joins us. Great to see you again. So a 35% drop in overdose deaths since 2023 is really extraordinary. Your reporting is that this is due to the fentanyl becoming less potent and...
No, it's not because fentanyl is less potent. It's just less prevalent.
Less prevalent.
Fentanyl is like aspirin. And if you have less of it in say, a counterfeit pill, which is the way many people consume fentanyl, it's just not going to be as deadly. And I think the DEA seizures that they have tested, the DEA chemists have shown that the gradually, since about August of 2023, we have seen a gradual decline in the amount of fentanyl available in these pills. And at the same time, you know, it's very, I found it very, very interesting, these graphs that the DEA is putting out that show that exactly that moment is when overdose deaths begin to decline too, and that has continued since August of 23. Both of these graphs are from that moment and have continued up to the present.
So what happened in August of 23, Sam?
I think what you began to see was, on the surface, that the fentanyl supplies began to reduce. But during that month, and during really that summer, the federal government, DHS, ATF, DEA, IRS, some other organizations, as well as, very importantly, elements of the Mexican government, began a very broadly based, kind of holistic, I guess you might say, approach to disrupting fentanyl distribution and production networks, very much, as you say, based on what we used to address Al-Qaeda. That began at that same time.
Yeah, I think I was artlessly saying the exact same thing you were saying. When I say the fentanyl is becoming less potent, what I meant was there's less fentanyl in the heroin or the cocaine or the fill-in-the-blank drug that people are buying, because there's less fentanyl in the supply chain. But you know, when it comes to fentanyl, you write that fentanyl was the drug dealer's perfect product. The drug's quick half-life in the brain meant that those who survived it had to buy it regularly. And most people who bought fentanyl didn't know they were buying fentanyl because these drug cartels were mixing it in without telling them.
That's how it was initially. I would say in the last year or two, people are now, those who've survived, are now addicted to fentanyl, and they know they will not use something that doesn't include fentanyl. What you're finding is a lot of addicts on the street are reporting, and this is also part of my reporting, are reporting that the fentanyl that they're buying is somehow less potent, will not cover their withdrawals as well as the fentanyl used to be. All of which means, again, it's all kind of the same way of saying that we're just seeing less and gradually less fentanyl over the last almost 2 years of the history of this, and that means that it's just become less deadly. There are other issues involved. A lot of people who are very vulnerable have all died. A lot of people have died already, and so the ones who are out there on the street may be a little more, how would you say, sturdy addicts when it comes to this stuff. Narcan's out there. A lot of people are using, the spread of Narcan has been tremendous across the country. But I think really the fundamental fact of this drop in overdose deaths is that just almost a lockstep drop in fentanyl supplies.
So is it that the Chinese are shipping less of these precursor chemicals, or is it? I
think that's really part of it. The entire Mexican fentanyl business model is based on plentiful ingredients. This is also true of methamphetamine, by the way, which is part of the story as well. But certainly it's based on plentiful almost unlimited, really, ingredients coming over from China with which to make both of these synthetic drugs. And so if you don't have that, you are not able to make the amounts of fentanyl that they once were able to do, which was enough to really, I mean, they covered the country, covered the United States with fentanyl.
Well,
I don't think they're able to do that really as much as before because the ingredients have been reduced.
Yeah. Sam Quinones, always great to talk to you. It's so great to be able to report a little glimmer of good news here, though, with deaths going down, and maybe, maybe we keep up the supply chain disruption and the cartel pressure. Good to see you, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.